All praises unto the Most High. We're giving thanks unto thee, Father, for thou art merciful and kind to thy people. We give thanks unto our Savior, Yeshua Christ, who laid down his life for his people. Israel, we're here with another lesson, and this one is going to be really, really hard to digest due to the nature of the fact that it's dealing with one of the most vulnerable um, people, or let's say most vulnerable um, life that's on the earth, which is children. And you know you say to yourself, why would anyone want to hurt a child, right? But you know I don't think anyone would naturally in their right spirit would want to hurt a child. So clearly, it would have to be, um, as you know, demonic spirit, right? And these spirits do not care whether it's old, young, or in between. They will devour anything just to go against the Most High because they do not like the Most High. And anything to, to pervert or to stop the his people making it into you know, that beautiful kingdom, they will stop at anything. They will do anything. And sadly enough, you know, this is something that is not being highlighted as much, right? And I'm going to go into a little as well details in terms of the numbers and, the countries, you know, which have some of the highest rates of missing children, right? But as you know, this is the enemy that goes against our people, right? Satan and his fallen angels, right? And these fallen angels, they do delight in perverseness, they delight in wickedness, they delight in seeing people suffer, right? Now, we are going to go through this, and I pray that you have the courage and the the faith to really, sit down and really, really receive this message, because this is something that we need to definitely put out there. When you finish, you can also share this video, you know, and let it, go out there so people can know what's going on in terms of the evil that's in this world. And this is why we have to turn back to our Father. And, we have to really work with the laws and commandments of the Most High. And when we keep them, it's very hard for us to really go and do anything that is not right, you know. And as long as we use Christ as our strength, which, with Him, gives us that faith to to push on in this time, even though it might seem that there's a lot going on, but this is just part of changing the guards, because right now we are going through that period of changing the guard, which is we are changing from these evil system and evil spirits and evil people that are being used by these spirits to bring all these foolishness and wickedness to pass, right? So Israel, with no further ado, we're going to get into it. And this is the ugly truth, a really ugly truth that is hidden, and most people do not want to deal with this truth. but we are not shying away from the truth because Christ never did. He was one who was always speaking the truth, and this is why, you know, he was not received by our people because most people do not like the truth, especially when it's pointing them out and their own actions are being as a judge to them, to saying that to prick them in their hearts to know that what they're doing is totally wrong, right? So with no further ado, Israel, I'm going to get straight into it. So all praises unto the Most High. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson, and I pray that this will be very edifying for you, to where you can also make sure that you secure your family, right? All praises unto the Most High.
If anyone causes one of these little ones that believe in me to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. This is the only passage in the Bible in which Jesus Christ says that a man who corrupts a child should better kill himself. Would it make any difference to you whether your child ended up with a sect, pedophiles, or an organ donor? Or does it matter at all?
Pedophiles is the worst option, I guess. Otherwise...
Why?
Because it's evil, right? Though, as a person who wants to sell their child, I'm in no position to judge. No, I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter after all. Honestly, I just want to get rid of a problem.
Someone from the criminal underworld got in touch with me, told me about a girl willing to sell her child to a brothel or as an organ donor. I decided to save that child and make a documentary about it. I began by removing the girl from a criminal environment and finding her a place to stay in a different town. The sale of the child was foiled by the COVID-19 pandemic and the restrictions on cross-border traffic. What happened when you found out you were pregnant? What were your first thoughts?
I started looking for a solution. I immediately knew I couldn't have the child, so I was looking to resolve the problem. I believe I made the best decision I could.
Although I managed to relocate the girl to a different town, she was still controlled by an agent who wanted to sell her child.
When we already knew she was pregnant, I contacted my colleague, a well-known person in the criminal underworld, and simply told him I had a child for sale. I wanted to sell that child for spare parts, to a brothel, to pedophiles. I didn't give a fuck where it'd go. I just wanted to sell it and make money. So he said he'd help me.
What do you mean, to a brothel? Such small kids are used in brothels too?
Of course. It's pretty common in Germany. Meaning such small kids are first put up with a family that raises them until they turn 3 or 4, and then they're sent to a brothel.
The sale of a newborn baby is carried through in such a way that in the hospital the mother signs the child trafficker in as the father. Then he takes the baby abroad. No one will ever look for them, as the baby is officially somewhere in Europe with its father. Do you have any emotional attitude toward the baby?
No. I'm trying to think practically.
And when you learnt the baby's gender, did that little person become more real in your head?
No.
What do you feel when you look at your belly?
Nothing. Disgust. I don't like it at all. I'd like to get rid of it.
Dlaczego uważasz, że twoje życie by się
Why do you think your life would be over if you had the baby?
urodzenia tego dziecka?
Because it's slavery. It's a tie. It's sleepless nights. A baby's not a dog you can teach to be alone for several hours or so. It's not like a cat, for example, that you can leave it with a litter box, a bowl of water, some food, and go away for 3 days.
A gdzie się więcej da zarobić?
Which is more profitable,
Sprzedając
selling the child for organs or to a brothel?
For the mother, selling the child as an organ donor.
A wiesz, jaki jest koszt
Do you know the final price of the organs?
takich narządów? Za ile?
How much a child like that costs in Europe?
Yes, I do.
All in all, how much is the heart, for example?
I know the liver costs 70,000 Polish zlotys. It's a black market. So it's obvious only wealthy people who have a lot of money are involved. If their child is ill, this is their way to ensure its longer life.
I na co
What's
jest
the greatest
największy
demand?
popyt?
The liver, the heart, the retina, the eyes, the retina.
Cenę
Do you
tej-
know the price of the retina or the heart?
The heart is worth almost 70,000, but euros.
Jakie masz
What's your
podejście
approach
do
to selling a
sprzedaży
child?
Dziecka.
Honestly, if it wasn't for this child, who is merchandise, I wouldn't be able to do it. But the thing is, if there's a possibility to earn quite good money on it, why not? They offer 50 to 150,000. It depends.
Do you believe it's a good price, 50, for a child?
Without intermediaries, I'd say it's enough.
Na co?
Enough for what?
To make up for those 9 months. Where else could a young person like me earn 50,000 in 9 months?
Have you thought what you'd buy with that money?
No, but if I could afford it, perhaps a nice car?
Ciuchy?
Clothes?
A phone? New shoes?
Dostałyście jakieś
Did you get any
propozycje
offers?
finansowe?
We are offered 80,000.
To była
Was that offer attractive?
It seemed so at the beginning, especially since I knew she'd have to bear that child and then go through a recuperation process.
Następnie przyjdzie konwalescencję, w związku z czym wiedziałam, że
So I knew she'd need money.
potrzeba. Więc była atrakcyjna, ale później
Therefore, it seemed attractive, but later I did more research and figured out someone was trying
ktoś nas chciał.
to con us in a way that instead of giving us the price in euros, they did it in Polish zlotys.
What's the name of the portal?
Its name is Sperm Donors, Let's Make Babies. It's a website where different people post their ads. Women who want to give away or sell their children. Women seeking co-parenting. I posted an ad in which I offered a child for money.
Oddamy dziecko za hajs. Jak ja to
After I'd done that, I received replies from 4 families,
rodziny, z tym, że ja również
but I also read other posts.
przejrzałem sobie ogłoszenia.
I liked 2 of them because they were looking for girls.
Dziewczynki.
Skąd to wnioskowałaś? jak
How did you
wiecie,
figure out it was trading?
handel się tu dokonuje?
Wszędzie, gdzie jest malusz,
Every time a little baby is involved, we know these ads have been posted by people who want to get rid of such a baby.
ogłoszenia, gdy ludzie chcą się tak jakby pozbyć dziecka i nie interesuje ich to.
And they don't care where the baby will end up.
Trafi. Między innymi
Our post was among them.
nie mnie interesowało.
All I cared about was that somebody took the child and paid so that I could share the money with the mother.
So you didn't care much about the children's fate?
No, I don't really. I care about my own child. My child is most important to me.
Do you believe in God?
No, I don't believe in God.
Uważasz, że
Do you believe people get punished for doing such things later in life?
kara?
Nie wierzę,
No, I don't.
dlatego że
If that was the case, I would have gotten punished long ago.
powinna do mnie wrócić kilka
Hundreds of times.
So as to not think of the unborn baby as an object and to treat it like a human being, I gave it a name.
Masz poczucie w ogóle...
Do you think your baby has feelings? Do you identify yourself with it?
No. No, I don't.
Myślę, że
I think it's
no to jest tak
too
małe,
small.
że jest w stanie
A baby like that can't understand pain, fear, or happiness.
czuje szczęście.
At least that's what I think. I don't identify myself with it at all.
A wiesz, że ono...
Do you know it can hear your voice now?
Yes, but I'm not giving it a thought.
And the beating of your heart?
I'm not thinking about it.
Dlaczego?
Why not?
Po co?
Why would I?
Potrzeby, po co?
I don't feel a need for that. There's no point in thinking about it. There's no point at all.
Co o tym myśleć?
I'm here and the baby's there. We are two completely different worlds. At least, that's how I see it.
Did you give your baby a name?
No.
What name will you give it in hospital then?
I don't know. Perhaps I'll ask a midwife to come up with something. I have no idea. I'm not thinking about those things yet.
No ja kiedy zacząłem...
Once I got involved in all this,
to
I gave the baby a name,
What is it?
Marcelina.
Very nice. Let it be Marcelina then.
Pomyślałem, że chcę
I thought I'd like
myśleć
to
o nim,
think and
postrzegać
perceive
go,
him
czy ją jako
or her as a human being,
człowieka. Nie powinienem myśleć
and not as a
jako
dehumanized object,
tylko
so that
zacząć
I could communicate with it in my head as with a concrete person.
konkretnym człowiekiem.
Myślę, że
I believe that giving it a name would, in a way,
że tak powiem,
cause you to show interest in the whole process, in how it should look, and some things like preparing a layette for the hospital. I guess it might have a huge impact on my head. That's why I avoid such situations. I haven't given it a name. I haven't thought about a name. I don't do such things. I'm just supposed to bear this child.
A dopuszczasz
Do you consider a possibility that your emotions might change and you'll regret it?
żałować?
No.
I was afraid they might open the borders at any time and the mother would flee abroad to sell the child there. In order to have control over this, I had to get to the trafficker.
Uważasz, żeby było realne?
Do you think it's possible for me to talk to someone from Germany who specializes
Zajmuje
in child brothels
tymi burdelami?
You know what?
or transplants?
I guess it is possible. But someone would have to set you up with a person. Even more so since those child brothels for pedophiles are mainly run by Muslims.
Dlaczego?
Why?
Their religion and culture does not prohibit them from having sex with children. They have wives or husbands who are 5 or 10 years old, so it's not a problem for them. Therefore, it's the Arabs that mainly run those places.
A jak do takiej rozmowy?
How can such an interview be
Aby
arranged?
doprowadzić?
I'd have to ask around.
Do it then.
I will.
For over a month, I was trying to get in touch with a trafficker. What did the child trafficker say? Help me understand what I need to do.
Hold on.
Go on Skype, and then what?
Yes, go on Skype,
W loginie
enter your login.
twoim loginem jest adres
Your login is an email address that has been set up for the sake of this conversation.
What's the address?
The address is grayass2020@hotmail.com. Then you need to enter a password to your Skype account. It starts with a capital letter, demoralization, and you're in. Your nickname, your fake Skype first and last name is Gray Zone. He will.
Gray Zone has already been set up?
Yes.
I don't have to do anything?
Exactly. This is your first and last name, Gray Zone. You will receive an invitation from him. You won't see his login, only his nick, Eminence Germany. The guy needs to feel safe. He's also afraid.
Weeks passed, but the Skype conversation didn't come through. Why does he keep postponing our interview? Is it so hard to set up?
I received a message. It was on Sunday or Saturday. Was it Friday? I can't remember exactly. On Friday. Or on Saturday, he sent me a message that he was very sorry, but he had to go away to pick up some merchandise. I figure he wasn't going to pick up a cardboard of smokes or vodka, but he was going to pick up a child. For him, a living child, a living human being is merchandise. He doesn't even call a child, he calls it merchandise, because that's what it is for him. It's an object that can be monetized. He'd sell his own mother for organs if she wasn't so old.
Well, I'm telling you, Israel, this is so deep right now, right? And it is really something that you have to really, get your head wrapped around, right? So, this interview that he's talking about, when it comes up, this is where it really gets interesting and really dark, really. So let's continue.
No one wants her organs anymore.
Does he have his own child?
Yes, a son.
Do you think he has any human feelings for him?
No, because for what I know, his son cooperates with him. So it's more of a business partnership rather than a father-son relationship.
So his son kidnaps children too?
He delivers them. Despite the fact the whole thing takes place in Germany or in the Netherlands. There are organized rings here that work non-stop like ants to track those women. To get to know their daily routines and habits. To see what they do, where their children are, where they leave them. Therefore, I believe this practice is meticulously planned and carried through.
It's a whole
process.
It's a whole team of people that look for those women, right?
Of course it is. When I talked to him, he told me he comes to Poland, for example, and very often looks for the girls himself. Allegedly.
Where?
In parks, stores, restaurants, cafes. Allegedly, after so many years in the business, he has an 80% chance to successfully identify a pregnant girl who would at least be willing to talk to him.
He identifies them like police officers are taught to identify criminals.
Yes.
As they walk the streets to identify thugs, so does he find his victim?
To find the right girl. He told me it depends on a number of factors: clothes, behavior, or appearance. Later, when he's already talking to the girl, he told me that pretty soon, over a cup of tea or something, he's able to tell whether he's wasted his time or could take it a step further.
How much do those girls charge for this?
About 2,000 or 3,000 euros. 5,000 euros if they are resistant. But it often happens they get no money at all.
You mean they're conned, or are they so keen to get rid of the problem?
No, they are conned. It does happen.
They are told they'll get paid in arrears, so they give their child away and are left with nothing?
Yes, or they get 100 euros to keep them smiling. Just to have them get a glimpse of cash.
So he doesn't even have to bother to kidnap the children, as it would be a serious thing, including the police hunt and everything, yes?
No, he doesn't. But if there is demand, as he puts it, if there is demand for a particular commodity, it is sometimes a matter of hours. Then the whole machine he's involved with focuses on delivering a specific child at a specific age, so they have to kidnap it.
How many brothels do they have?
4.
How many children are in each of them?
Last time I asked, there were 7 of them in one of the German brothels.
Do those children live there?
Yes.
Do they even leave the brothel?
No.
So they never go out for a walk, right?
They do go outside with a chaperone that watches them, but they never go beyond the wall or the fence.
So it happens inside a house, right?
Yes, in a house. A regular house.
So a child ends up there at the age of about 4?
Yes, about 4.
Why 4?
It depends on what the clients want.
And then the child is stuffed with drugs?
Yes, they're stuffed with drugs. Cocaine or amphetamine. But the child usually has intercourse with a pedophile about once a week only. That's why there are so many of them, to stay in business. There must be a lot of children.
Why only once a week?
A child can't be kept on cocaine or amphetamine all the time, because it might kill them.
So they're given drugs only during an intercourse?
Before an intercourse, whenever the need arises. It's such a hermetic world that they know even several days earlier when and which pedophile will come and ask for a child.
Till what age does a child remain in a brothel?
Until the age of 12 or 13.
Then what?
They are sent to a regular brothel, because such a child is no longer able to change their life. Their mind is so fucked up, and so is their world, that the only thing they can do is go to an adult brothel.
And how long do they stay there?
As long as they can. If they're good at what they do.
Can they go out, or do they remain locked up?
They may go out, just like in the brothels in Poland, but a child like that generally becomes a social misfit. They suffer from social phobias as they have never gone to school. They are taught on the spot what to say or how to sign their name at the most.
After many weeks, the agent told me the trafficker would contact me by phone that night. I'm really glad you finally called me and we can talk directly, because with intermediaries, intentions are never fully clear, and so on.
I'd rather meet in person.
That'd be great. Just tell me when we could do it. Do you have any idea? Do you have any plans? Or is it still up in the air?
I have to stay here for a few days. I have some business to attend to.
The trafficker broke off contact with me, and it seemed we'd never get to meet. No, nothing. What do you think might have happened?
I was afraid it was some sort of setup. Do you know how many Polish children have no graves? So fucking many.
The trafficker would change the time of our meeting several times. Finally, 30 minutes before the interview, he told me where to go. What kind of words do those guys use? Do they say merchandise and stuff? How does it work?
That's the way. That's the way.
What's the term?
A dolly, usually.
Does the gender matter? Or are boys called that too?
It matters. Merchandise is usually used for the boys, and dolly for the girls. For him, a 10-year-old boy is too old. A very little child, a 3 or 4 years old boy, or a 3 or 4 years old girl, likes to touch. And lick a little weenie.
So, Israel, as you can see, this is very, very disturbing, to say the least, right? So, you know, it goes to show that this demonical spirit is real and it is not a joke, right? Now, this brother that he's interviewing is a pedophile himself, right? He personally has a son, you know what I mean? And he also helps to sell these children and also make money from it. Not only selling them, you know, to pedophiles or whatever the case may be, but also when they're no use, that's what he calls them, when they're of no use anymore, he would sell their body parts. So this is the dark truth of, you know, and also these people also are Satanists. You know what I mean? He didn't say it personally, but some of these people are Satanists and they will sacrifice these child. So they'll pay for a child, they'll buy one completely right out. And then, you know, they'll get it delivered to where they want it to be delivered, right? So these are the elements that we are working with within the earth. So this is why it's very keen to keep a very close eye on your children, on their behavior, and also on people around, because you don't know at any time anything can happen, right? Not only that, but you know, the Most High did tell us about these type of behaviors and these type of people. So let's continue.
And the intercourse is between the thighs and the buns.
What does the child's day look like? How many times a day or a week do they have sex?
It depends. You can't have a child for an hour. It's a whole day or a whole night event. At least for several hours.
Does it go on day after day? Or are there any breaks because of the drugs they're given?
No.
Or does it basically depend on the number of clients?
If one child is exhausted, there is another one.
While the first one is recuperating, right?
Yes, the child must eat something. They're also given some vitamins, something nutritious.
Are they drip fed?
Yes.
Do they get vaginal abrasions or something?
They get some medical care. Someone takes care of them so they function and look well.
So it's kind of breeding, human breeding.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes the children refuse to eat. Then they get injections.
It's something like a PTSD?
Kind of.
Are they injected with nutrients or drugs?
It may be drips, or it may be injections. The women that look after them are kind of good aunties. Though some of them are not that good, as one of them pulls their hair until they do what she wants, or respond when she calls out their names, because at the beginning, they don't respond to anything, not even their names, as if the kid's completely turned off.
How many of those brothels do you think there are in Europe?
I know of about 4.
In which countries?
Belgium, Germany, Poland.
Where is the one in Poland?
Tri-City.
In a regular house as well?
Yes. Those intercourses take place before a child is taken away for organs.
Does the client have to pay more for that?
Of course. I believe the price amounts to... I mean, really, the whole team is engaged. So it must be around €500,000. And he's aware the child becomes useless after that.
Do those 4-year-olds live together with 7 or 8-year-olds, or do they go somewhere else?
No, 7 or 8 years old are good for regular sex. And those little kids are separated.
From what age can you have an intercourse with a child without risking tearing them apart?
Well, I'd say they can have regular sex from the age 6 or 8 and earlier. That is when recycling begins.
Recycling?
Yes, at a VIP price. VIP entertainment. He likes it when he shows his dick in. Blood spilling. He massacres the child.
Does he murder the child or leave it to die?
Whatever turns him on. But then, the child is a wreck anyway.
How long can a child survive in such conditions?
If there's a client, for the VIP, satisfaction, then they won't survive. Children who are 6 or over will pull through.
How long do they stay in a brothel?
Those kids are hooked on drugs, so I'm not sure. Until they turn 14.
What then?
They get disposed of.
Disposed of or sent to another brothel?
Disposed of. They're usually disposed of because they're no longer eligible for transplants.
Due to drug-related body exhaustion?
Yes. When the child is no longer attractive, when it's useless and can't be used for spare parts any longer, they make movies and post them on the dark net.
What exactly have you seen?
Suffocation during sex is a standard thing. It is a common fantasy. To be doing it to the very end.
What about non-standard things?
A non-standard thing is to simply fuck everything up with your dick.
order to get to the truth, I spent several dozen hours talking to him.
A kid that already has some understanding of what's going on around them because, to some extent, a 12-year-old is aware of certain things. Is fed such a vision of life. Or death, actually, that, in a way, his reality becomes totally messed up. As there are perversions, where they get turned on by pushing sex to the insane limits, so that the kid takes their own life during an intercourse.
How?
For example, some kids slash their wrists or beg to be choked to death. They grab their hands and put them on their neck and squeeze them by themselves. That's what turns them on.
Do they have any sophisticated toys? Or are there no toys?
You know, I guess all of them have their favorite fluffy toys. Some have their favorite pillows. The kids often fight over their fluffy toys. Kids don't hug each other. They're afraid of being touched. They are. They seem to know. They're even afraid to touch their own bodies. I don't know any more cold-blooded woman than those from that brothel.
The ones that take part in all this?
Yes, the ones that allegedly look after the kids.
Are they ordinary women? Do they have children, husbands, their own homes? Or are they young individuals?
No.
More mature?
They're also European, and at least two of those that I have personally seen have brought their own children there. I'll send you a picture. I look pretty worn out because I'd been traveling. There are two girls there sitting on my lap. Those kids took to me so much, and I love children dearly. When I entered, they got pretty scared of me. Somehow, they caught my attention and my eyes smiled at them. My eyes, not my face. You just can't put it in words. One grabbed my leg, the other grabbed my other leg. I sat on the bed.
How old were they? Roughly?
About 10. They started singing songs for me. Both of them. And both were jealous of each other.
How did they manifest their jealousy?
They just wanted to be saved. Something I couldn't do.
When talking to the trafficker, I knew I was looking at the devil in the eye. Do those people believe in Satan? How do they worship him? Are they deep in that occulent shit?
It's a sect. Those people don't even greet each other when they greet each other. I mean, they don't greet each other by just saying hello or good morning or guten tag. Or whatever normal people say when they greet each other. That's not what they say.
So what do they say? Ave fucking Satan or what?
No. They use completely different two words.
What words?
I'm not going to utter them.
Why?
I promised myself I'd never say them.
What if I turn the camera off?
Turn the camera off and I'll tell you.
Have you ever seen any Satanist artifacts when you went to visit those individuals? Any oculate objects like pentagrams, inverted crosses, or something?
There's a pentagram under that inscription.
Really?
That was fucking there, man.
The dude has a pentagram in his house?
Yes. There are those words I told you they use to greet each other.
No, Israel, as I said before, this has to be demonic, and it tells you and it shows you right here. I totally forgot about this part where he was basically telling you that they have objects which deals with or to signify that they are part of satanic cults, right? And this is not a surprise to me because this would have to be people that are of the devil. They are, totally entrenched into demonical activities, right? And they are of the worst kind that you can ever think, right? So let's continue.
That kind of our good morning? Yeah, there's a pentagram under them.
There is the evil one behind the children's suffering. It's obvious.
Working on a girl.
So he basically stated that it's obvious. So as I said before, fallen angels, they will work with, or they like when people suffer. It's a part of their demonical spirit, right? And for them, they get joy out of that, especially if somebody dies. They laugh, right? So these are what these demonical entities do, right? Now, he's going to explain to you how they go about trying to recruit women who are insecure and somehow manage to get them to sell their child. I don't know how a person would do that, but nevertheless, let's continue.
It's not a quick and easy process. It doesn't take a day or a week. From my experience, I can tell you, it took us 18 months to work on a mother. She didn't know about it. But there was always someone watching her, whether she was taking good care of her child, whether everything was okay. At the same time, we pressed her relentlessly to abandon that bastard.
Did she sell her child to a brothel?
She didn't fucking care. She took the dough, and that was it.
How much did she get?
She got around 10,000 euros in cash.
How old was the child?
4 or 5.
And she sold the kid?
Yes, she was happy everyone had left her fucking alone, including the kid. She thought the kid was up for adoption by a good family. Abroad.
Where did it go?
The kid was ugly. It wasn't very beautiful. And generally she treated it in such a way that even I got to detest the kid as a result. But they gladly accepted it. She thought the kid was adopted, but in fact, it went for spare parts.
Whatever comes to light becomes known. I wanted the devil to reveal himself and show his true face. How much would I have to pay for a donor kit if I wanted to buy one from you?
Well, you know, I just get my cut. I can't really tell.
How much do you get?
I get 15,000 euros for a broad with a kid.
For carrying through the whole process of adoption?
Yes.
So if I ordered a child from you, how long would I have to wait?
Do you have any special requests? A boy? A girl?
Let's say I do, or don't. It'll be faster if I don't.
So, just a child, right?
Yes.
2 weeks. Contrary to what you might think, it's hard work, so I don't get a hard-on when I think about those girls. I'm not in a hurry, but I do get pressed. Every day, in the morning, I try to go by the book and use the power of positive thinking. Then I can see the nose and the eyes of a cute little doe before my face. Those little pets.
Now, Israel, I want to know what type of positive thinking he's thinking when he's going to kidnap somebody's child. That's beyond me. I don't understand that. That's like an oxymoron, right? But you know, when you're in that type of spirit, you will think all type of things, which necessarily is of a confused and deranged mindset. So let's continue.
This looks so sweet.
How long does it usually take to bring a girl around?
Bring a girl around?
I mean, from the moment you meet her to when she decides to hand the child over.
2 or 3 meetings?
Unbelievable. How long are those meetings?
There's a party. I take her to a party, and I'll work on her then. I test her, but not only me. There are several of us. We help each other. I get help. We support each other and do the job. There's a reason why we're there. The girl decides not to fuck me on the first date. I don't give a fuck about fucking her.
Okay, so what are the options from there? Brothel or spare parts?
It depends. If there's demand, they will even pull a child out of the brothel.
From the brothel for spare parts?
Yes.
So the parts are a priority?
Yes, absolutely. They bring in huge money quickly. I post an ad that I'm a businessman working abroad. I visit Poland once a month and I need company. I want to be a sponsor. And girls reply. There are lots of replies. You test them. It depends on what you're after. Whether we're after the organs or a child. What her living conditions are and so on. Then you go and hunt the girl down. It sometimes happens those children are handicapped in some way. So you start working on that. Those girls are not particularly educated nor intelligent. The child stands in their way. Taking a child away from them is not a problem.
So what qualities should an ideal child-dealing girl possess?
First of all, she must be selfish. You can see right away. She's ready to kiss your ass and do anything you want. Since it's all about children, you begin by asking, do you have any children? Yes? What age? Let's say she's got a 6-year-old girl. And you immediately offer her a trip to, let's say, Masery to sail in a boat there. She's on cloud 9. You take her there for 2 or 3 days, and watch her whether she calls the child or her mother. Usually it's her mother that stays with the child and keeps calling. And when she answers her mother's calls, you hear what she says and how she says things, and whether she's pissed off. Then her mother calls again, and she's yours. You pretend you're having fun. We talk. I tell her she's got a cute daughter. Of course, I am proud of her. I took after her. It turns out she has children, and that's when he cuts in. Children? What the fuck do you need children for? Why would you take that on your shoulders? We kind of talk like a friend to a friend. And of course, we watch her reaction. If there's anything we can do at all, we work on her.
Let's say she agrees.
Yes, it sometimes happens, the girl tells you. You know, that fucking kid? It's just fucking trouble. And I don't know what to do with this shit and so on.
Do you think it'll be over once you bear the child?
Yes, I think it'll be all over once I have that child. Once it gets out of my body for good. It'll go to its world while I remain in mine. I'm not going to see it ever again. I won't feel it. I won't hear it. Many people won't understand it, but most of them have never been in such a situation. Carrying a child you don't want is so devastating to your mind that it's hard to imagine.
Despite what the women were planning to do after the child was born, the agent brought a layette for Marcelina.
Pat's for you.
Give me my stuff. I don't care about the child.
These pants let me fucking breathless. They're awesome. This is a puppy's paw. Do you know why it's here? Because underneath it says, I love my mom.
Why have you covered it?
Because the child won't have a mom. But I've not covered, I love my dad.
We needed a midwife to help with the delivery. I set up a consultation, which, due to the COVID-19, had to be done online.
Have you been pregnant before?
No,
Whom are you carrying?
a girl.
What is her name?
Marcicia, Marcelina.
I hoped that conversation would stir some emotions in the mother.
You'll have contractions every 5 minutes. You'll watch them for an hour to see if they're getting stronger. The next hour,
Once again, please.
you got distracted.
I got distracted. I'm basically trying to give you a patchwork of specific information.
It's difficult.
I'm not getting attached. It's not difficult. I don't care whether it's difficult or not. I just don't form any sort of attachment. I just want to learn some basic stuff and go and bear that child and end my adventure with it. I don't want to elaborate on that.
I'm not even asking you to.
I approached my interview with the trafficker as if it was a police interrogation, where you often go back to the same issues in order to establish the truth.
I found about 500 such girls on the internet. If a mother goes abroad to give her child up for adoption, the mother ends up in a brothel, and she gets hooked on drugs. And so does the child. A child is a kind of merchandise that brings pure profit as it requires no investments and earns its living by working in a brothel. And when there's a bid for an organ, it goes on an operating table for disassembly. The mother also goes for spare parts.
Were you afraid of meeting such a person?
No.
How come?
Uważam, że takie
I believe a person should be approached in a holistic manner.
normalne, czyli
There's a task to be done. Since he's a professional, I also try to be professional without asking unnecessary questions. Brief statements, short questions, whatever I need to know, whatever's essential.
Did he make a good impression on you?
He won me over with his approach and composure.
Those girls think they'll return to Poland with a lot of money. They think they'll get rich, but are unaware they're on their way to a brothel. They don't know what'll happen to them, or that they'll get hooked on drugs or lose their freedom.
Now, Israel, this is actually how it goes generally when you have missing persons as well. Even more, I would say, older girls or boys, right? Where they think that they'll, be going somewhere, get an opportunity to travel, and then they're going to make some money. Which really and truly, all they're doing is going right to prostitution, and they're going to be hooked on drugs, and they are not going to be found again. If they're lucky, some might escape, very rare, but 9 out of 10 times that's not the case. They tend to missing for life, all right? And I mean, it is a sad situation. So let's continue.
Do you know what I felt while recruiting those girls? I didn't give a shit about those girls and their kids. All I cared about was the money. The adoption of a child is carried through in such a way that the girl gets married to an Arab, a Muslim. The Muslim law allows marrying even underage girls.
And that is true as well, Israel. The Muslim law does allow underage marriages. Now, I don't know which law could allow something like that, but obviously, in the Muslim law, it does allow that, all right? And this is why you really wonder now is that if this Muslim religion as what they have is so holy, how is it that they are marrying underage girls, right? To me, that does not make any sense, right? That's contradictory to something being of a righteous order, right? With the Most High and Christ, if you go to the scriptures, it tells you even where if you want to marry a girl, you wait for her to reach her flower. Now, it means that she has to reach a proper age, right? How is it that these guys allow these things and said that then this is something which is normal or it's holy? So let's continue.
Then he gets to adopt the child. He takes the child away to his country, a Muslim one, in a legit way. In Muslim countries, papers are easy to get. For $50 local, you can get any document you want. Changing the first or last name is not a problem, and so any trace of the child is lost.
What then?
They go to Egypt for a couple of days. They get new papers through some formal correction of the name and the last name in a matter of hours. And the child returns as a completely different person. It returns to Europe, to the brothel, and no one is ever looking for that child again. The trace is lost. A child had left. It had a name and a last name, and a different person came back to Europe later.
And the mother?
She goes to a brothel in Europe.
What does it look like when they bring you kids for sale from Ukraine?
When a child comes from Ukraine, it gets new papers here in Poland. These are another child's papers with an identical ID. Only the photo of the imported kid is swapped. And practically the trace is lost here. The child goes abroad with its new Polish ID.
So you need the ID in case of inspection.
Yes, while crossing the border. Just in case.
Then there are no more problems, because the real child stays in Poland, while the other one is officially non-existent.
Yes.
And what happens with kidnapped children?
Children are kidnapped only in urgent cases. If there's an emergency, someone got ill, there's a problem, and an urgent transplant is needed, that's when kidnapping takes place.
Why is kidnapping so rare?
Because it's dangerous. Dangerous for the organization. It doesn't pay to keep a kidnapped child in a brothel. Because things may happen, and there may be trouble. It would be a total disaster if such a kid was found.
What's the difference whether they find a kidnapped or a regular child in a brothel? Because you may pretend it's not really a brothel?
No one is going to admit it's a brothel. But there's a difference. Because if the child is being searched for by Interpol, it's a serious shit. But you can always account for a regular child. Whether the child has been adopted and went through the adoption process with an Arab father, or in any other way, rather than admitting the child's been sold or kidnapped. The client doesn't have to come to the brothel in his own car. He is brought there. The meeting spot is established earlier. It's different with different clients. Even the clients can't see each other. It happens that they even tear infants apart with their dicks. The baby dies.
In that room, yes?
Yes, in that room. The moment the client informs he wants to kill the child, a whole group is immediately set up to pick up the organs. We schedule it so that everything overlaps, so that we have a recipient ready. Whatever can we say?
Is the child still alive when it's being taken to the operating room?
It's done on the spot in the villa.
Is that where the organs are retrieved?
Yes, there's a special sterile room there. When they torture those children, the children get broken. Their arms get broken. Their legs get pulled out of the hips. They often get beaten up. Torn apart. Organs, buttholes.
Do you mean those little babies get their legs pulled out?
Yes.
So it's sadism.
Yes, sadism. Infants always suffer. They all do. Later, that child is useless.
Do you ever think you might get punished for that at some point of your life?
No, I never do. I believe if you do not think about such things, they never happen.
Older children are exploited for a while. They're addicted to the drugs they're sedated with. But infants become useless. They go for spare parts. Older kids can't take it mentally. Also because of the drugs, they ration them out to make the costs as low as possible. Because the kids are nothing more than just merchandise. That also has an impact on their mental state. One boy slashed his wrists. He couldn't take it. All that manhandling and the kind of life he had there. They did save him, of course. But he was sent for spare parts. The drugs put children in such extreme psychotic state that they hurt themselves. The kids' clients are very rich. They even come in their own private jets and helicopters from fuck who knows where.
Now, Israel, this is something which is another thing which is really something I have to point out where, most of these people that tend to do these things are rich people with a lot of money, right? And it shows you that, the higher you go, right? The higher you go, right? The more you lose yourself, especially when it comes to money. You are never the same person, right? You are never the same person. Not to say that you can't gain wealth, righteously, but 9 to 10 times, right? Most of these people that have these mass amount of money are demonically possessed because they choose the world over the Most High, right? So we're going to get into that in the scriptures as well. So let's continue as well.
They are picked up at different locations, filthy rich. They pay a fortune to spend time with a child. Everything's arranged with a medical team. They know the child will not survive. And if it becomes crippled for life, nobody's going to look after it. So it immediately becomes an organ donor. Those brothels have branches all over the world, with operating rooms. They are high security sites. Few people know about them. There are no regular brothels. We're talking about huge money here, so they are perfectly organized. It's not just some dude or madam sitting there. It's all professionally set up.
Like a corporation?
Yes, like a corporation. As complex as a corporation. There must be a medical team on standby. Someone must look after those kids. Someone must organize. The transplants and everything. There must also be someone that helps them. Search clients for the organs out. It will continue. The demand is huge and they won't change.
To stop me from saving the child, the devil struck at the mother. The darkness that the mother colluded with turned against her and pushed her into depression. At some point, the mother told us she wanted to kill herself and the baby.
What if they say November 9th?
Then you'll know it's going to happen. What's the problem? I guess November 9th may sound stressful to you, and you'd want to get rid of the baby sooner.
I can't promise that I won't hurt myself. It's starting to mess my head up.
Are you having suicidal thoughts?
Yes, I do.
Where did they come from?
From all this.
How could suicide help?
It'd give me peace of mind.
Do you think killing yourself would rid you of the problem?
Yes.
Do you know what impact it'll have on you if the USG guy tells you're due sooner?
But it may be delayed too, right? And I can't predict. I'm not able to, how I'll behave in such a situation. I just can't.
We need a good USG test result. When she has it, perhaps it'll show that she's due on, say, the 20th or the 27th or even the 9th of November or the 5th of November. Once she has the results in her hand, it may be easier for her.
Are the suicidal thoughts getting worse?
Yes.
Have you already pictured in your mind how you're going to do it?
I have a friend who's acquainted with those things. He wouldn't say what kind of substance it is, but I know it's effective. He prepares specific med cocktails, and for the right price, he provides you with a package.
So as you can see, Israel, it comes back down to, I tell you, demonical spirit. Now the demon realized that he's going to lose hold of this child, because well, you must understand, fallen angels and satanic people like innocence. They want to take away the innocence of the child, right? And if they don't get that, because when they do have that, that gives it, it's such a great high spiritual empowerment for them, that when they do that, it's almost like a adrenaline rush, or something that puts them on a different level, right? So now seeing that the mother is deciding that she's probably gonna take her own life, that's what the demon is telling her. So listen, if I can't get the child, you are not going to live, neither the child. So the best thing the spirit is telling her to do is to take her life, not knowing that she's saying that she will get peace. There is no peace in suicidal. You have just signed another death threat, not death threat, sign a sentence, I should say, sorry, to the deepest parts of hell. Because for one, you just committed murder. And for two, you killed yourself. There's no pardon for, taking your own life. That don't work, right? So let's continue.
A suicide package?
Yes.
How do you find him?
Through a friend who had problems before and wanted to commit suicide. She used his services and she's no longer here.
How much is such a suicide package?
380 zlotys.
Are you going to kill yourself and the child just because you can't wait 12 days?
That's why I need that paper. I need the C-section because I can't promise I won't hurt myself.
Doesn't it thinking about her help? Doesn't she give you any motivation or relief?
This child gives me nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. I want to get rid of it. I'm not identifying myself with it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not looking at it. I'm not talking to it. I don't pay attention to it moving. I just don't think about it. I don't want it. I just don't want it. For me, every day when I get up in the morning and look at myself, at my belly and stuff, it is just another day filled with pain.
So Israel, I'm going to pause it there. I'm going to get straight into the information, and then after I'm going to get into the scriptures. Right now, this is actually about another close to half an hour more. So I'm going to try my best to remember this time to leave the link in the description so you can actually watch it yourself. Right. So, I mean, this shows you where we're at in this world, right? Now, Israel, he pointed out as well in it that some of these countries where, a lot of these countries where a lot of kids go missing and where they get these trials from is Germany, Poland, Belgium, right? And in Poland, there's a place called Tri-City, right? And that's where a lot of children go. If you Remembered earlier on in the interview, you were saying that a lot of kids don't have graves, right? So I'm going to go through the NIK on missing persons searching. And now this is, let me get this a little bit more. This should be okay, but let me just even go one more. All right. All right. To give you the information so you can see it a little bit better, right? So here it says right here, Israel, more and more people in Poland go missing out of trace every year. The police develop a corporate system to search for missing persons. It happens through the police officers and not well trained, and so they cannot use adopted procedure or classified missing persons cases properly. As a consequence, the search starts too late in some cases practically when the time is critical. Any delay can be um, inter sorry irreparable then, right? So basically by then, if you take too long within a certain time, the child will, you never see them again, right? So it says here, the police statistics shows that about 17 to 20,000 people in Poland go missing every year, of which about 2,000 are never found, right? It is particularly alarming that the number of disappearance increased by another 2,000 every year. So that should show you, Israel, that this thing is not no joke thing. Now we're going to go down a little bit here. It's going to show you in the chart where it shows you about disappearance, and it shows you from 2011, 15,000, 2012, 17,000, 2013, 19,000, 2014, 20,000. And it continues, and this is 2014, and we're in 2021, so I don't want to see the numbers, right? And it continues because that's what the guy said, you know, they need a lot of children, right? So I'm going to quickly jump to another information as well. Well, where this is dealing with the missing children statistics, which this is more of a world statistics, you know, not just in Europe, but, you know, in the world. And some of the highest rates of missing children, these countries are listed, and the numbers are really, I mean, heartbreaking, right? No, it says right here, the lack of common definition of missing child and a common response to the issues results in few relatable statistics of the scope of a problem around the world, right? Now, these are the countries, Israel, right? When we take a good look, family, even with this challenge, we know that, right? So you have Australia, an estimate of 20,000 children are reported missing every year. Canada, 45,000 children are reported missing every year. Germany, this is what, 100,000 reported missing every year. So I see what he just told you. You know, the countries that they tend to get their the child from is Germany, as I said before, Poland and Belgium. I don't see Belgium in this nor Poland, but clearly this is why I went to the NIK, which is the missing police records in Poland. Right now, this now is India, 96,000, Jamaica, 1,000. Let's call it 2,000. Right, Russia, 45,000. Right, Spain, 20,000. Now these are the two highest right here, Israel, And I'm telling you, this don't look good, right? And these two countries are one of the two main countries. I did videos on it as well, where they have satanic cults that do a lot of wickedness to children, right? And look at the missing rate in the UK, 112,000 and change, right? Let's call it almost 13,000, 113,000, right? Never to be heard from again. Now, the US beats everybody hands down, which I'm not surprised because that is the belly of the beast. You know, that is spiritual Egypt. Now, look at this. The US estimate is 460,000, beating everybody by like almost what, 200 and odd, right? Or 300 and odd. I mean, that's ridiculous. How can so much people go missing? You can find Bin Laden. You can find all these terrorist people, right? Hiding in some places where nobody would find them, but yet you can't find a missing child. So it goes to show Israel that if they are not, trying to fix the problem, them themselves are a part of it. Telling you that right now, right? Because if you think about it, just as what the guy said earlier, the child trafficker, right? Is that these guys are wealthy rich. They have their helicopters or their planes. These people are money, just like Epstein, right? Epstein was in that same boat, right? Till they so-called said that he took his life in prison because, they were pressuring him to spill the beans, right? And the names that he had and the people that he knew were wealthy people, very wealthy people. Even the president at the time, Trump, right? And other people that's in the United States politics, in their senates and judges and all kind of people. You know what I mean? Because if you have 460,000 people missing, it's ridiculous, right? So before I go into the scriptures, I want to show you one more thing, right? So let's actually just click on Australia, right? Let's just see what it's like in Australia, right? So let's look, right? And this is the page here now, Israel, right? Where you have missing people. Now look at this, Israel. This is an infant baby, and the infant child was a female, right? So her name is Adele, right? Adele Partridge, right? And this is sad. This is from 1998, right? Clearly, you have to assume that this child is probably not alive, not living anymore, right? And this child was just like about 6 months before she got taken away from her mother, right? 6 months, not even a year, 6 months, right? Because I read the information before, right? So, it's crazy. And these lists go on and on. Here we go again. Another young youth right here. Damian McKenzie, right? Which on the 4th of September, 1974, age 10 years, reported missing, right? While on a excavation to, what's this? Stevenson's Fall at Maryville, and Damien from the Coben area in western yada yada yada, right? So basically, kids unfortunately are part of this. Even though you have a lot of adults as well, but mainly kids are the ones that you never. And this is 1974. Now, if I go to America, you won't want to see the listing in America. You have people who've been missing for 40 years and they never been found, right? And there's more information where that is concerned, where even personal parents has been, paying private investigators to try to find some form of evidence and trail, and sometimes did get some information, because I have something on that as well. I didn't put it out, but I have something on that as well, which I was, looking through. And some of these kids are still alive, right? But, because they've been in this type of world for so long, that they are totally mentally destroyed, right? Right? So it goes to show, and this is Australia. This is just one. I mean, the list is so long in this that I couldn't go through this right now, right? So let's actually jump down now and go to, let's go to America, right? So Federal Bureau of Investigation, right? So these are the list right here, Israel, all right? So let me kind of blow this up a bit so you can see it properly. All right, let's go 150, right? All right. So we're going to show you here, Israel, what's going on, all right? So these are the missing persons, unidentified, files, right? And these are like from so far back, it's unbelievable, all right? So let me quickly go through this quickly, all right? All right, so it reads right here, Israel. I hope you're seeing it. Record enters do not include a supplement record, entire message, which are used and specified identifiers, including dental to missing person. Because people, they tend to use your dental records if they can't, try to connect you to that person. So these are active entries of these files of people that they put in, right? So let's actually go down here now, Israel. So here we go, missing persons from 2015, right? And look at this list, Israel. This is 2015, right? These are the entries, right? These over here are the months, and it goes to show January, 14, I mean, look at this, 49,000, February, 45, March, 40. I mean, this is disturbing, right? Yet America is one of the best so-called and more, more powerful country, and we have all of this and all of that, and yet so many children are missing. Something is wrong, right? Here we go again, Israel, right? These are juveniles under 18, right? These are the entries, right? All the datas, females, right? Males, right? The race, Indian, Black, Asian, you name it. All the information is here. Look at the Black. There are more Black people missing than anybody else on this list. You know what I mean? Well, whites look a bit outrun them, but we're not too far behind. And this is 2015. This is like 169,000, almost 170,000, right? And whites is 262, right? That's not a joke, right? Juveniles under 21, right? Same thing. Look at all these numbers. These numbers are crazy. Let me blow this up some more, man, because I think this is too small. Right, let me blow it up some more right there. Right, look at this, Israel. These are missing people, right? And these are from all ages, right? But we're just looking at the underage juveniles, right? All right. And this is more information here, Israel. This is yearly missing persons total and percentage. I mean, look at the numbers here, Israel. I couldn't go through this in one day. Look at this, right? Look at this. It's crazy, right? So it goes to show Israel that we truly are dealing with some serious demonical fallen angel entity, satanic people. So now let's go to the scriptures and let's deal with that right now, right? So I'm at Joel 3 and 3, right? Let me make sure that I'm right. Right. So Joel 3 and 3, right? And it reads, right? Just as what you saw in the entry of the video. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Now, Israel, didn't that young lady do the same thing? She wanted to sell her baby for money, and she wanted it so she could buy some shoes and some clothes and whatever, a nice phone, right? And the Father is telling you right here, right? The Father is telling you right here how they do these things, right? And it's a shame, right? And same as how with the babies, and also with the young boys, right? They have what? Cast lots for my people. Who are those people? Satanic people. These people who are, giving over their soul to Baal, to Satan, that wretched wretch, right? Look, they have what? Have given a boy for an harlot, meaning they have given him over for pedophilia, right? So same as our interviewer was telling you, these guys come in and they will call them VIPs, and these guys come in and they order what they want. It's like they're coming into a restaurant and ordering food, and they're telling the the waiter or the waitress that this is what I want, and they go and get it, right? So let's jump to another scripture. We're going to go to Luke. Now, this actually as well was in the um the starting of the video. So my mistake. So it says here, it it were better it were better for him that a millstone hung about his neck, and he cast into the sea, than he should offend one of these little ones. Right? So it goes to show you, Israel, that it would have been better if none of these traffickers and all these people that's involved in these things would have tied some form of millstone or find some form of heavy metal and throw it off in the sea and go down with it. They would have been far better off, more than doing what they're doing now, because the Most High sees everything, right? And I remember I was going through the book of, I think it was Peter. I think it was either the apostle, the testimonies of Peter, or it was oh gosh, what's his name again? Thomas, where when they resurrect somebody from the dead. I think it was Peter, right? The apostles of Peter, when he made somebody come back from the dead and they experience going to hell, and he asked them to explain what they saw. And one of the things that they saw, they said they went to different areas, and one of the things were, they were there where people with suffering, and the smell. He says the person said the smell was so bad, right? Remember, no, if you're dead and you can smell like that odor, it's going to be on a different amplified level compared to when you're in the physical form. Because when you're in that spiritual form, everything goes to a different level, right? So it goes to show that these people are going to find themselves in a serious predicament when that day of judgment comes, because there's going to be people, well, judgment for a particular set of people for doing these things, for abusing children, for you know to 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 to, to killing them, you name it, they're going to face it, right? And what the spirit of demonical lust, and perversion have drawn a lot of them people there to doing these things, is that they're only setting them up for a fall, and they don't even realize it, right? They don't even realize it. So let's go to Matthew, Matthew, it should be Matthew 10, right? So this is Matthew, right? Matthew 16 and Matthew 16 and 26, right? So it reads, "For what is a man's profit if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?" Now, this is a very, very, very good question, right? Because I would want to know what it is that you would gain for the world and to lose your own soul. Now, it doesn't mean that gaining the world means that you're going to gain only mass amounts of wealth. I mean, you can just be caught up in the world by just the worldly ways, and and it profits you. But doing all of that will eventually come at a price. And what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? So is your soul worth a car, a house, millions of dollars, billions of dollars? It only goes to show that your soul is far more valuable than anything on this planet. Because if the Father has you in that high regards, clearly you are more than vanity. But unfortunately, people don't see that. But they're led by an evil spirit, which are fallen angels, to let them do things that they should not. Right? So I'm going to go to Psalms 14 and 1, right? And the reason why, because I remember the guy asking the girl, "Why are you doing this? Don't you believe in God?" She basically said no. And most of these people that are doing these things, they don't believe in the Most High, right? All these people that he interviewed, they do not believe in the Most High. And why is that? Because look what his scriptures says about that, right? The fool had said, Selah, right, true. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Can you see that, Israel? The ones that say that they don't believe in the Most High, they are the ones that are corrupt. They have done abominable works. Those are the ones that have done the most wickedest things on this planet. Right? And this is why they do what they do. Right? So it goes to show Israel that the dark truth of all of this is that we as a people need to turn back to the Most High. Because that is the only way, right, we are going to be escaping the judgment that is to come. And that judgment is not no simple judgment. That judgment is a judgment where most people will not escape, right? Will not escape, right? So I say that to say this, Israel, that if we are led by the Spirit, then we should be doing things by the Spirit, right? Not by the flesh, right? Because most of these people that do these things are led by what? They're led by the flesh, right? And this is why when you look and you see what's going on, you know that the devil is at work. He is trying to get rid of all